20 million tons of water dropped on a town from 450 feet above because rich men wanted to keep their fish. On May 31st, 1889, a dam that never should have held didn't. 2,209 people died in under 10 minutes. Not one club member who caused it ever paid $1. 14 miles above Johnstown, Pennsylvania, sat a lake in the mountains, 2 miles long, a mile wide, 60 feet deep. Lake Conemaugh. Private property. No trespassing. The summer playground of Pittsburgh's richest men. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Clay Frick, Andrew Mellon, Philander Knox. 61 members total. They called it the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club. They built 16 cottages and a clubhouse with a dining room for 150. They sailed. They fished for black bass. They played billiards and watched the sunset from the porch. And between their lake and the valley below sat a dam, 72 feet of packed earth, holding back 500 million cubic feet of water. That dam had a history. Built in the 1850s for the Pennsylvania Canal, it failed in 1862, was abandoned and left to rot for nearly 20 years. Benjamin Ruff bought the wreckage in 1879. He envisioned a private resort for Pittsburgh's elite and set out to rebuild the dam. What Ruff did not hire was an engineer. His laborers packed the old breach with mud, straw, brush, and hay. They never compacted the fill or diverted the river. The original dam had cast iron discharge pipes at its base that could drain the lake in an emergency. Ruff's crew never replaced them. They filled the pipe tunnels with rubble and sealed them shut. There was now no way to lower the water if the lake rose too high. Then Ruff lowered the dam's crest by up to 3 feet so carriages could cross to the clubhouse. That decision cut the dam's safe discharge capacity in half. And then came the fish screens, iron bars across the spillway to keep the black bass from escaping. The spillway, the dam's only safety valve, could now clog. Daniel Morrell saw it all. He ran the Cambria Iron Company in Johnstown, and the valley's most powerful man. Morrell sent his engineer to inspect the dam in 1880. The report was alarming. Leaks, loose fill, dangerous modifications. Morrell wrote to Ruff and offered to help pay for repairs. Ruff replied, "You and your people are in no danger from our enterprise." Morrell even joined the club hoping to push repairs from inside. It didn't work. He died 5 years before the flood he tried to prevent. By the late 1880s, dam warnings had become a joke in Johnstown. Every spring, people said, "Someday that dam will break," then shrugged. Teenager Victor Heiser captured it. "Sometime that dam will give way, but it won't ever happen to us." On May 31st, 1889, a low-pressure system formed over Nebraska. 2 days later, it brought the heaviest rain ever recorded in western Pennsylvania, 6 to 10 inches in 24 hours. Creeks became rivers, telegraph lines and railroad tracks washed out. The valley was already flooding. On the morning of May 31st, Club President Colonel Elias Unger saw the lake had risen over 2 feet overnight. Water was cresting the dam. He assembled 30 men. They tried raising the dam with shovels, digging a second spillway, and pulling the fish screens free. The screens were jammed with debris. The spillway clogged. Water rose an inch every 10 minutes. Young engineer John Park rode to the nearest town and sent 3 telegraph warnings to Johnstown. Johnstown ignored them all. They'd heard it every spring for a decade. People moved furniture upstairs and went about their day. At 2:50 in the afternoon, water ran over the top. An earthen dam is not concrete. When water flows over packed earth, it cuts channels that deepen and widen. The dam doesn't explode, it unzips. By 3:10, the center sagged and gave way. The entire lake began emptying through the breach. Witnesses said Lake Conemaugh drained in 45 minutes. 500 million cubic feet rushed out at a flow rate matching the Mississippi. A 36-foot-high wall of water, half a mile wide, raced down the valley at 40 miles per hour, picking up houses, trees, and locomotives. First, it hit South Fork. Most residents fled to the hills, 4 died, and 20 to 30 houses were destroyed. Then Mineral Point and East Conemaugh. There, engineer John Hess reversed his locomotive, raced ahead blowing the whistle non-stop, saving dozens. 57 minutes after the dam broke, the flood reached Johnstown. The town sat at the bottom of a funnel, surrounded by mountains with nowhere for the water to escape. It hit at 4:07. Most of downtown was destroyed under 10 minutes. 1,500 homes and factories were flattened. Then the wreckage slammed into the stone bridge. The Pennsylvania Railroad's stone bridge didn't break. It caught everything. A 40-foot-high pile of debris, 30 acres across. Houses, cars, people. Barbed wire from the destroyed wireworks tangled through it all like a net, trapping survivors in a cage of wood and steel. Then the pile caught fire. Overturned stoves and gas lines ignited it. The debris burned through the night. Survivors heard screams from inside. Crews needed 3 days and dynamite to extinguish the fire and break apart the wreckage. Final count, 2,208 dead, 99 families wiped out, 396 children, 777 bodies unidentified. 98 children orphaned, 124 women, and 198 men widowed. Johnstown first asked for coffins and undertakers. Clara Barton arrived 5 days later. It was the Red Cross's first major disaster response. She stayed 5 months. The nation sent $3.7 million in aid from all 50 states and 18 foreign countries. Carnegie donated $10,000 and later built a library that now houses the Johnstown Flood Museum. Survivors sued the club and its members for accountability. They lost every case. Courts called it an act of God, not negligence, not the club, God. No club member ever took responsibility. The membership agreed to stay silent about the disaster and their connection. They were so effective that some grandchildren later said they never knew their families belonged to the club. When investigators searched for records, they found a clerk had destroyed an entire room of flood-related documents. The Johnstown Daily Tribune wrote, "Our misery is the work of man." A poem added bitterly, "All the horrors hell could wish, the price paid for fish." A 2016 hydraulic analysis confirmed the club's changes halved the dam's storm survival ability. It wasn't God, it was provable negligence. Today, the stone bridge still stands, trains crossing it daily. The arches that held the wreckage remain beneath the steel. And 14 miles upstream, the South Fork Dam remains in a national memorial. 2 earthen abutments with nothing between them, just a gap where the water went through, and a trail across the empty lakebed where 61 men once kept their fish.